How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be talking about, looking back on that fight that happened over the weekend, where we started hearing, high school basketball chants of overrated. I decided I was going to look into it. I'm trying to find the biggest fraudulent prospects in every division. I think you know who's going to be middleweight, but I decided to go through the list. Now, some of these divisions, I will admit, are pretty sparse for guys that my fraud detector is, beep, beep, beep is beeping on. And to be honest, some of these guys have lost already. But I think it'd be fun to still call them fraudulent prospects. Let's get right into it with Flyweight. Flyweight, some of you guys might not even know who Rafael Estevam is. If you do know, if you're cultured like a fellow UFC enjoyer like myself, you'll understand this dude only has one fight in the UFC, and he beat Charles Johnson on very short notice. But honestly, if you don't watch the fight and you just look at the striking numbers, right? Now listen, if you don't watch the fight, you're gonna look at these striking numbers and be like, how the fuck did Rafael Estevam win this fight? The striking numbers in this fight were 116 to 35, and Rafael got 3 takedowns. He got outstruck 34 to 17 in the first round. He got outstruck 20 to 8 in the second round, and he got outstruck 62 to 10 in the third. This guy, he's a heavy grapple style guy. He likes to get it to the ground. That's his whole thing, his jiu-jitsu. His cardio sucks. All right, he faded midway through the second round, to my knowledge. From my memory of that fight. And he somehow, I honestly was like watching it scared because I picked Rafael to win. I was like, there's no way that this dude already gets fraud checked. And he got the win, in quotes. This dude hasn't even been booked since then, I believe. I don't even think Rafael Estevam has been booked for a fight, and that was almost over a year ago. Actually, you know what? To the day, that was exactly a year ago by the time I'm recording this. Holy shit, that's funny. Yeah, this dude, I think that he's going to lose his next fight, depending on who the matchup is. I mean, he beat Charles Johnson. He wasn't ranked then, but they're like, well, yeah, we gotta fucking go with this guy. I think this guy's cardio sucks. I think if he can't find a finish on the ground in the first round and a half, I think he's basically dog shit. His striking is zero. Your grappling is zero, brother. But yeah, I think Rafael Estevam is the biggest fraud at Flyweight that is going to be fraud checked soon. We move to Bantamweight. I got Ramon Taveras. Now, this is another one. Honestly, Ramon Taveras arguably lost his debut against Sergey City. It was a weird fight. Listen, kids got popped, but man, he's already going against Davy Grant in his second fight. Took almost a year off after that performance against Surrey City. I don't know, man. I think we got a fraud check incoming. He gets hit a lot. He gets pressured a lot as well, does Ramon Taveras. I think this dude's just super hittable. I think if you pressure him enough, he will crumble. Now listen, he's quick, but also, I don't even know if this dude's going to fight at Bantamweight for his whole career because he missed weight pretty bad against Surrey City. I just don't think that his skills are going to stand up in the lower, even like the lower echelon of unranked bantamweight guys. You know what I mean? I think like a fucking Gaston Bolaños would give Ramon Taveras a lot of trouble. And I know that Gaston looked pretty good, but I think who's another, weird bantamweight guy that I could bring up? Who's another guy that I could bring up? Like Beksat Almakan, I think would have a decent fight against Ramon Taveras. I just think Ramon Taveras is probably going to lose soon, eventually probably in his upcoming fights. Depending on who they match him up with, I'm surprised that they gave him Davy Grant this early into his UFC career. They think very highly of him. At this point, motherfuckers would be fighting like Arichi Lang or some shit, but they got Ramon Taveras getting the Grant test, and I've seen Davy Grant basically almost beat Daniel Marcos. I think Daniel Marcos is a little better than Ramon Taveras, but we move to Featherweight. Now, this is an undefeated guy, William Gomez. Is he undefeated or does he have one loss? He's undefeated, right? He's undefeated, ain't he? Sorry, this video is kind of chopped, rather. William Gomez is 14-2. He's definitely not undefeated. But he's undefeated in the UFC, 4-0. Like, I personally, in my opinion, I thought Joe Anderson Brito beat him, but he did make it a little competitive. Here's the problem with William Gomez. After beating Joe Anderson Brito, his next fight is most likely going to be against a guy like Dan Ige. I think William Gomez loses to Dan Ige. I think William Gomez, honestly, since I think Joe Anderson Brito beat him, I think like Yusuf Zalal would be able to heavily destroy William Gomez. I don't think his style works at featherweight. I just don't think it does. He's too tall. Like his frame should work, but his style of fighting makes it hard for it to work. You know what I mean? He's very low output, doesn't throw a shit ton unless you bring the fight to him. If you let William Gomez control the pace of a fight, which you shouldn't do, but if you do, he's throwing 10 strikes per, 3 minutes. And I don't think that works at the upper echelon, especially when he's this close to being ranked. Because William Gomez is probably going to be getting a higher tier fighter in his next fight. I mean, he quote-unquote beat Joe Anderson Brito, so I think that this dude probably is going to get a bigger matchup. 4-0 in the UFC. I don't think he gets past those tests. I think he's probably a fraud. I think my fraud detector is beeping hot on William Gomez. He arguably should have already lost. So, there's that. We move to lightweight. We move to the guy the first fighter on this list who actually has a loss, Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan is going to get chinned by almost every lightweight with power in their hands. That's just it. I mean, didn't he take Alex Reyes to a decision? I think he did, right? Yeah, I don't like that. If you're not able to finish Alex Reyes, that's not good, man. Alex Reyes' chin is pretty shit. So, Tom Nolan, very big kid for lightweight. That's why a lot of people like him at lightweight, is because he's 6'3" or some shit. He's fucking huge for the division. He has his big legs, long legs, very terrible haircut, which usually would work, but, I don't think it does. I've seen, who was the guy that he fought not too long ago that dropped him bad? And that guy is not good at all. What was that guy's name? It was his fight before Alex Reyes. What's this guy's first name? Martinez? Victor Martinez. This dude got, bitched by fucking Jordan Levitt on the feet. Tom Nolan's chin is very worrisome. That's all I'm going to say. His style, very entertaining guy. Kill or be killed kind of fighter. That doesn't really work at lightweight, especially with his chin. So I think that this dude's going to get popped a couple more times in his upcoming fights, depending on what the matchups are. He can definitely become something, but my fraud detector's going off on him. We move to welterweight. Again, a guy that already lost, but I'm going to go with Carlos Leal. I think, now hear me out, man. Carlos Leal looked really good against Renat Fakhretdinov, right? Everyone is going to be thinking this guy's going to be the next big thing. Everyone's going to go into his next fight man, I can't wait to see Carlos Leal fight again. They're going to give him some killer, and he's not going to be on steroids for that fight. And he's not going to look as good. He's going to have the Basil Hafez treatment, guys. I'm sorry. Carlos Leal, you are just Basil Hafez, all right? That's what you are, okay? Just on a lesser scale, because at least Basil went to a decision with JDM. He didn't win. There's definitely not an argument for Basil to win, but Carlos Leal definitely, has a very big argument of beating fucking Fakhretdinov, Renat. They're going to give him some big dude. He's going to have a close fight, probably lose, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, well, he's not on steroids anymore. And they're going to realize, oh, he's just not that great. And then Carlos Leal is going to get shipped back to the PFL soon. That's what I think is going to happen to good old Carlos Leal in his upcoming future. All right. We move to middleweight. Oh, boy. Bo Nickal, dude. God. Now, listen, this one is a bit harsh. I do get that. Bo Nickal, listen, he's only been fighting for 3 years. I get that. I get it, right? Here's the thing here's where the UFC fucked up. Okay? You can't really Sean O'Malley him anymore. At least without without fans noticing. Okay? You can't go to like a very bad middleweight fighter. Like, I don't even know. Who's like a middleweight fighter that's just not even like good at fighting? You know what I mean? Because there's no going back now. You gave him Paul Craig. Paul Craig was in the top 20. He was almost ranked when Bo Nickal beat him. You can't give him a fucking Eric Anders. Can't do that. You can't give him a Marc-Andre Barrio. Right? You just can't do that. You can't give him like a Dustin Stoltzfus, even for that matter. Or like a fucking who's Miguel Baeza. You can't do that anymore. He's almost ranked at this point. Like, Bo Nickal is almost ranked right now. I think the UFC fucked up. They can't, unless they just want to let people know that they want to see Bo Nickal win, right? They're going to have to give him either a very, very talented unranked middleweight like a RoboCop or like a Renner de Ritter, or maybe Joe Pyfer, or maybe Ikram Alaskarov, or they're going to have to give him a lower-ranked middleweight like a Michel Pereira or an Anthony Hernandez or a Paulo Costa. I think he loses to almost everybody I just mentioned. I think he loses to basically all of those guys. And that's... Listen, I get it. I believed that since he entered the UFC, since he had to knee Jamie Pickett in the nuts to get a win over him. All right? And here's my issue with Bo Nickal. I get that he's only 3 years into his MMA career. I get that. I agree. I'm not shocked that he's not as good. I think a lot of people are more hateful on him. The part where I'm upset is the fact that Bo Nickal is almost a ranked middleweight fighter at the moment. Like, that is true. Paul Craig was in the top 20. For sure. He was ranked, 13 when Kyle Bahalio beat him? He ain't that far away from the rankings. That was a bad move by the UFC. Because this is the US's guy. This is what we have as, the big dude besides Peyton Talbot, of course. This is the guy, prospect-wise, unranked, that we have to look forward to. I'm sorry, you can't put him on pay-per-views anymore after the Paul Craig fight. You're making Paul Craig look competent on the feet. Paul Craig's triangle is making you that afraid that you're not even shooting a single takedown on him. I think Bo Nickal, depending on who he's matched up with, will probably lose his next fight. Or his next fight, maybe the fight 2 fights from now, maybe. Depending on who they match him up with, if they feed him to a Joe Pyfer, I think he loses to Joe Pyfer. If they give him to a Gregory Rodriguez, I think he loses to Gregory Rodriguez. You can't do any more Cody Brundages anymore, man. You should have. You should have done more Cody Brundages. But you can't anymore. Just can't. You're past the point of no return, Bo. Bo, I look at your performance, I say, Bo, what a shitty performance. And he has no personality. He's probably a cool guy. Bo Nickal's probably a cool dude. He's probably chill. I was eating berries. I was eating berries. I looked at Kamzat fight. I was like, man, I think I can beat Kamzat. And that's the worst part about it, is that Bo Nickal this early in his career is already talking about Israel Adesanya. Bo Nickal. You don't have the leverage to do that anymore, especially. We move to light heavyweight. These last 2 divisions, I'm going to be honest with you, I was struggling. I was struggling very heavily picking somebody. I'm pre-firing Artem Vakatov or Vakitov. I forget exactly how to pronounce his last name. The dude that beat Alex Pereira. All right, I'm pre-firing this guy. The problem is the script already happened, and I don't think that the UFC is that lazy that they'd use it again to where Artem would actually succeed in the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, you do get what I'm saying? I'm doing, like, bedtime shit right now, like, just, like, not even his fight style. Like, Artem will probably chin some lower-level light heavyweights for sure, because he does have a lot of punching power. He has a lot of technique. The problem is that he heavily favored the clinch in that fight on the Contender Series, like, way too much. It was like he was in there for, like, 2 minutes with him controlling it. Like, he could have exited if he wanted to. I don't think that's going to work, right? And the thing is, with Artem, they're probably going to fast-track him, just like they did with Alex. Because they're like, this is the fucking dude, like, we can do what Alex did to Izzy. They're probably going to give him some big matchups early in his career. I don't think he succeeds, if I'm being honest. I don't think he has the athleticism as Alex does. How old is Artem Vakitov? How old is he? How old is this fella? Hold up. Let me put you on hold. He's only 33. You know, it's not that bad. But, yeah, I just don't think that the script works on him. I don't think it does. I don't think he has the athleticism. I don't think he has, like, the show-stopping power that Alex has. Like, he definitely has knockout power for sure. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do that to every light heavyweight. I don't know. I don't think it works. I think that the script is burned for a glory kickboxer to succeed in the UFC. I think we've already passed that. Speaking of glory kickboxers, heavyweight, Janata Janice, your time's over, buddy. Learn some takedown defense, you fat slob. You fat piece of shit. Janata Janice got absolutely, like, fucked up by Marcin Tybura. Now listen, Janata does have a lot of punching power. He is also a glory kickboxer. But like I said, guys, you take him down once, man. You take him down once, man. It's over, man. They're not going to give him a ranked guy anymore. Janata Janice, he's already back down. They're probably going to give him some fucking shithead for a heavyweight. Probably give him, like, fucking Austin Lane. No, he already beat Austin Lane. They'll probably give him, like, fucking Hamdi Abdelawab or some shit. I don't know. Jamal Pogues, maybe. Thomas Peterson, that's a fight. I think Thomas Peterson and Mohammed Usman would have solid competitive fights with Janata Janice. Oh my god, this video is so fucking cooked, man. I kind of just threw this together because I kind of felt like talking shit about some fighters. That's basically it. But, yeah. Who are some guys that you think are going to get fraud checked soon? You know, even ranked guys, for that matter. Like, you could say Carlos Prates if you wanted. I would get upset at you, but it's a valid answer. You think, like, Asuam Babayev, and you're like, this fucking guy's gonna lose because he's at top. I get it. Yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.